Welcome to Time Well Spent, a podcast from LaborSync, the only real-time, multilingual timesheet software your business will ever need.
As I was going through this breakdown of the current business landscape, I just kept nodding my head. Because if you're running a business in 2025 and it feels, well, genuinely harder than it used to,
Yeah.
it's not just you being nostalgic for the good old days.
No, absolutely not. The days of, handshakes and the yellow pages were objectively simpler. We're looking at a LaborSync blog article that calls this an economic perfect storm.
The perfect storm.
It's
Yeah.
this convergence of headwinds that, frankly, just didn't exist 5 years ago.
The writer uses this analogy that really stuck with me. Running a business today is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube
Uh-huh.
while riding a unicycle in a windstorm.
Which, it sounds absurd, but when you look at the three main pressures they highlight, the economic storm, the talent tightrope, and the compliance maze,
Mm,
it actually feels pretty accurate. It really does. So let's break that storm down a bit. We all know about inflation eating into margins. That's sort of a given.
right.
But the blog article pairs that with this idea of the red ocean.
The red ocean, yeah. Market saturation. It's just incredibly hard to differentiate yourself when everyone is fighting for the same eyeballs.
And then you add the technology layer on top of that.
Oh, that's a big one. You hear all this hype about AI reshaping business, but the reality on the ground, the article says 43% of organizations find just integrating these tools to be a massive struggle.
That's what they call the mental bandwidth tax. Every new app demands your attention. And then something like 47% of businesses cite cybersecurity as a top concern,
Exactly. So instead of technology making you faster, it's often just another layer of anxiety.
which drains the energy you need for what they call the talent tightrope.
Mm-hmm. The other massive pressure point, hiring has become a full contact sport. You aren't just competing with the business down the street anymore.
No, you're up against the gig economy. You're up against these huge corporations.
And let's be honest, a small business just cannot compete dollar for dollar with Amazon.
You can't.
So your whole retention strategy has to flip, right?
Yep.
You have to lean into what the giants can't offer. Meaningful work, a genuine culture, but that takes a lot of effort.
And effort takes time. This gets us to the silent productivity killer they mentioned, the context switching.
Yes.
The owner is playing CEO, then IT support, then sales manager, all before lunch.
That is the killer. The problem isn't a lack of time, it's a lack of focused attention. And this creates what the article calls the planning paradox.
The planning paradox, right, because everything is so uncertain and you're so busy,
Yeah.
you become afraid to make any moves at all.
And that's reflected in the numbers. Less than 10% of owners feel confident in their financial health right now.
Wow. That is a staggering statistic. So
Mhm.
how do we break that paralysis? If the core problem is all this complexity, what's the fix?
Well, the counterintuitive advice here is systems over struggles. You have to stop trying to predict the future or just, outwork the chaos.
So less grinding.
And more automating. You have to build systems that remove the friction.
Okay, so what does that look like in practice?
Take the tech aspect. Don't adopt every shiny new tool. Look for the real friction. If, say, manual time tracking is costing you 5 hours a week, fix that specific problem. Tech should reduce complexity, not add to it.
Right. And it's the same idea with workflow, I imagine. Batching similar activities so you aren't constantly switching hats and burning that mental energy.
Exactly. And for the compliance maze, don't try to be a lawyer. Use simple systems to document things automatically. If you have the records, the proof becomes easy.
So the takeaway, really, is that success in 2025 isn't about some superhuman effort. It's about leveraging automated systems like effortless time tracking or better crew communication to handle the noise for you.
Precisely. When you remove that friction, you stop spending your day just putting out fires. You can finally get off the unicycle and actually focus on growing the business.
It's about finding those small, systematic improvements that create these outsized results.
That's the goal, to handle the complexity efficiently enough so you can actually serve your customers rather than just surviving the chaos.
This episode of Time Well Spent was brought to you by LaborSync. Track employee hours and job site locations in real time from any device. Start your risk-free trial today at laborsync.com.